Hello my dear students, very good afternoon. Welcome back to the news analysis program. I am here today with the news analysis of March 13, and I shall be presenting you a few questions on probable questions for our upcoming examinations based on current events. Hope you have read the newspapers well, and make sure that you watch the program on a regular basis so that you will come to know about things as a story, and that is what is required. Then once you know these things as a story, then you will find meaning to many data and information that we note down every day. We come to know that, say, I shall cite an example. India's defense budget is a 4 lakh crore rupees. That is just a piece of an information, but a few days ago we read that China is spending 4 times, 5 times what India spends. So this particular data gets an additional value now. You are able to compare India's defense spending with that of China. So this statistics will get some meaning if you read as the story breaks and develops, and if you are fully aware of it, you will come to know it as a story. So to have the best benefit of the program, you should read the newspapers and you should watch the program continuously. I hope you may do that. So March 13, Quad leaders for open free Indo-Pacific. Bureaucrats cannot be state election commissioners, says the Supreme Court. We know that the state election commissioners are more often bureaucrats. Now the Supreme Court has given a dictation. It has given an order that bureaucrats should not be appointed as the state election commissioners. So it says that giving government employees the additional charge of state election commissioners is a mockery of the constitution. Bureaucracy comes directly under the government. So government controlled officers, if they become state election commissioners, they cannot remain independent. That is the observation made by the Supreme Court. So I am giving you the first question here. Who among the following world leaders has not participated in the first ever leadership summit of Quadrilateral Framework, or Quad? Look, not participated. Take note of that. Not participated. Good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon Anjana. Good afternoon Aparna, and good afternoon all. Yes, the answer is correct. It is the first option. Xi Jinping is the answer. He has not participated. Quadrilateral Framework, or Quad, who are the members? India, Japan, Australia and USA. They call for an open and free Indo-Pacific region. Quad leaders during the virtual summit recently called for a free and open Indo-Pacific region, and China is not a member of Quad. Quad leaders for open free Indo-Pacific. Members of Quad framework will become closer than ever before, Prime Minister Modi says. First ever leadership summit of the grouping. The members who participated are Prime Minister Modi, President Joe Biden, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. All are important names, please take note of this. China has criticized Quad and blamed it as Asian NATO. Second question, who among the following statement best describes Pingali Venkaiah? Pingali Venkaiah. He first propounded the idea of 5-year plans. He was the first to propound. Okay. He designed the national flag of India. He proposed the idea of reorganization of states based on the base of language. He was the architect of the Parliament building of India. Yes, he designed the national flag of India. A man who lived in poverty, and recently Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Jagmohan Reddy proposed to the Prime Minister of India to give him Bharat Ratna. Okay. Confer Bharat Ratna on Pingali Venkaiah, says Jagan. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has urged the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to confer Bharat Ratna posthumously to Pingali Venkaiah in recognition of his efforts in designing the national flag. Reddy presented a memento to daughter of Pingali Venkaiah. Okay. Novavax reports 96.4% efficacy on original virus. So these are the different competing virus vaccines. Novavax, an American made one, and we have got Covaxin and we have got Covishield. So different companies are claiming different efficacy levels. It claims 96.4% against mild, moderate and severe disease caused by the original SARS-CoV-2 strain in the pivotal phase 3 trial in UK. Okay. Inflation quickens as January IIP contracts. Look, retail inflation quickened. This is going to worry in the Reserve Bank of India in managing inflation. Reserve Bank of India has a task of controlling inflation between 4 to 6%. Now it has closed 5.03%, clearly spurred by higher fuel and food prices. Food price inflation as measured by Consumer Price Index accelerated 3.87% last month from 1.96 in January. Look, price of oils, fats surged 20.8%. Prices and it is going to increase further because diesel prices have gone up, and that is going to have huge impact on transportation. India is a very big country. Goods have to come from the other part of India to this part, from the north to south, from south to north. It's a huge country which entails lot of transportation cost, and diesel prices, unless controlled, will definitely have an impact on the economy. Bureaucrats cannot be state election commissioners, says this Supreme Court. Bench led by Justice Rohinton F. Nariman says that giving government employees the additional charge of state election commissioners is a mockery of the Constitution. Okay. So we have already mentioned about it. Under the constitutional mandate, it is the duty of the state not to interfere with the functioning of the State Election Commission, says the Supreme Court. So how can a government employee be made the chief state election commissioner? A moral test. Privileged nations must improve global availability and equitable access to vaccines. Yes, now it's a time for vaccine diplomacy and vaccine influence. After a year after World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has criticized the many examples of vaccine nationalism and hoarding in the world. So he has criticized vaccine nationalism and hoarding making available vaccines equitably presents the greatest moral test of our times, says the UN Secretary General. In spite of exhortations by international organizations and efforts to pool resources in a way that all countries could at earliest begin inoculating at least a fraction of their most valuable, several countries were unable to administer a single dose, although vaccines were beginning to be stockpiled since November last. In Africa, only 13 countries, according to Bloomberg tracker, have begun vaccinating. In contrast, 10% of the US population has already been vaccinated or got both doses, as against 3% in EU. Only 10 countries in the entire African continent got at least one single dose of vaccine, against what has happened to the United States of America. 10% of the population have already been vaccinated, and mostly 2 times. So that is what has irked Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General. He says that it's a time not for any kind of vaccine nationalism, rather it is the time for equitable distribution of vaccines. 2 bad options. This is about Afghanistan government. Listen, Afghanistan is in a highly fluid state. On one side the government forces, on the other side the Taliban, which contest the government. Afghanistan has been in trouble for long years. Afghanistan was a Soviet controlled nation till the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the president of Afghanistan at that time, Najibullah, was assassinated by the Taliban forces way back in 1988 or 89 or 1991, I would say. He was assassinated. He was hanged in public place. Ever since then, Afghanistan has been under deep political trouble. Taliban has gripped over Afghanistan. Then came the September 11 attack and the subsequent hiding of the Al-Qaeda leader, and then US started a war against Afghanistan in capturing the Al-Qaeda leader, but now US wants to pull out. Ever since then, US army military presence is there in Afghanistan. The world has been trying to protect the Afghanistan government. It is highly aided by the world. Governments including India have supported Afghanistan, but Taliban is a real terror and a reality in Afghanistan. Russian government says that Taliban should be included in the government. America wants to pull out of Afghanistan. They want to start the pulling out from May 1 onwards. So Afghanistan, once they lose their international support and presence of international military, Afghanistan government will be in deep trouble, because Taliban forces will get the upper hand and may create chaos in Afghanistan. So President Joe Biden's push for an interim unity government in Afghanistan is a testament to his administration's grim assessment of the situation in this war-torn country. In a letter to Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, which was first published by Afghanistan's Toller News, US Secretary Antony Blinken has proposed a senior level meeting between the government officials and Taliban in Turkey. Of course, negotiations are going on between Taliban forces in Turkey. Taliban is a militant Islamic organization which has origins in Pakistan. So Taliban is a reality in Afghanistan. Taliban has been creating chaos in Afghanistan. So, it is a time that Afghan government requires maximum support to sustain and survive there. So, at this point of time, a unilateral withdrawal by the US government without providing alternate cover and protection to Afghan government will play the doom for Afghanistan. Third question, what is the first associated with Justice Indu Malhotra, who retired as a Justice of Supreme Court of India recently? What is the first associated with her? Is that she is the first woman judge of the Supreme Court of India? Is that she is the longest serving Supreme Court of India? Is she the first woman judge to be appointed in the Supreme Court directly from the bar? Is she the only judge to be promoted a judge of the Supreme Court from the position of its registrar? Justice Indu Malhotra retired. What is the first associated? Yes, good to see that I have already got the correct answer. The third option is the correct one. She is the first woman judge to be appointed the Supreme Court judge directly from the bar. Yes, correct. Justice Indu Malhotra's tenure ends. Justice Indu Malhotra, the first woman judge to be appointed to the Supreme Court bench directly from the bar, completed her last working day virtually hearing case alongside Chief Justice of India Sharad A. Bobde on Friday. Okay. Justice Malhotra was on the constitutional bench that unanimously decriminalized homosexuality between adults. She is known for her long dissenting opinion in the Sabarimala judgment. So, an honored judge has retired. Premedasa slams invite to Myanmar's junta minister. Recently, it was a controversy. Sri Lanka invited Rajapaksa administration invited Myanmar's foreign minister, a member of the military junta, for a virtual meeting of BIMSTEC in April. This invitation basically legitimized the military takeover. Generally, what happens is that when military takeovers take place, other countries, especially democracies, will keep the military establishment and its members at an arm's length. But contrary to that, Sri Lanka invited military junta appointed foreign minister of Myanmar for the virtual BIMSTEC meet. Russia for Taliban's inclusion in Afghan interim government. Russia said it backed the Taliban's integration into future interim government of Afghanistan as global powers ramped up efforts to secure peace deal and end decades of war. Yes, war, it has been a war-torn country for decades. As I told you, ever since 1988, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, Afghanistan has been in deep turmoil. Its president, the then president Najibullah, was killed and he was hanged in public place. So Taliban has toppled the government of the day, and ever since then there has not been any kind of political stability and peace in Afghanistan. Now the international community is trying for a kind of a stable government in Afghanistan, and securing a peace deal between Taliban is the need of the hour. Russia has proposed that Taliban should be included in the government, understanding the reality. Jet fuel may be brought under GST regime. Civil Aviation Ministry is working on the airline sector's demand to bring aviation turbine fuel ATF under the ambit of GST. We understand that recently the Finance Minister of India said that the efforts must be taken on to include petrol and diesel under GST. So, of course, the GST council may not accept the decision, considering pressure from the state governments will lose their revenue. So, but anyway, fuel prices, if it spirals like this, definitely it will have a negative impact on Indian economy. Look, nearly 45 to 55% of operating expenses are because of the fuel price. So, if GST is made applicable to air turbine fuel, then that will be a great help for airline companies. Fourth question, name the public sector bank in India that are presently under the Prompt Corrective Action framework of RBI. Which are the banks that are presently under the Prompt Corrective Action? RBI puts banks under Prompt Corrective Action framework to improve their financial health. Prompt Corrective Action places several curbs on banks, including on lending and management compensation. RBI, if RBI dictates are not fully complied with by banks, then RBI will go for extreme steps, and PCA is that extreme step, prompt corrective action. Once prompt corrective actions are placed on a bank, then the bank management will not be able to give compensation to their top management as it may wish. There will be curbs on recruitment, there will be curbs on lending. So, that will suffocate banks, and banks will do the needful to come back by complying with RBI orders. So, the answer is the fourth option, all except A, C and D. So, Indian Bank is not under prompt corrective action, Bank of Maharashtra is not under prompt corrective action, Punjab Sindhu Bank is not under prompt corrective action. So, the banks that are under PCA are Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank and UCO Bank. They are kept under the prompt corrective action, a kind of a diktat by the Reserve Bank of India. Fifth question, what is the amount that the Union government proposes to infuse as capital to public sector banks through its budget proposals? During the budget, the Government of India said that its banks, meaning government banks, will be given capital, or government, the owner will infuse fresh capital to its banks. How much money has been allocated for that? That is the question. Yes, let the answers come. Yes, the answer is correct. It is 20,000 crore. Rupees 20,000 crore has been allocated by the finance minister for infusing fresh capital to its banks. Central to infuse rupees 14,500 crore into banks under PCA soon. Of course, it is for the current year, for the current financial year, the government had allocated rupees 20,000 crore for capital infusion to PSBs to help their regulatory requirements. To meet the regulatory requirements, banks will be given rupees 20,000 crore. Out of that, 14,000 crore may be infused to banks under PCA soon, says the report. This is an unconfirmed report, but this is a confirmed one. It is a budget proposal. 20,000 crore is allocated by the finance minister through her budget proposal as capital infusion to help banks meet their regulatory requirements. Thank you very much, my dear students, for watching the program. At 3 o'clock we shall come back with another program. Please share our news analysis and other programs to your friends, and those who may be helped by this program. At 3 o'clock, of course, we will have another live session either on maths, QA or reasoning. Make sure that you attend. For any reason, if you are occupied, you can watch it in our application. The questions that I have given will be available in the daily Gyan section of our mobile application. I have uploaded general awareness detailed notes up to March 8. Make sure that all the students watch them regularly and review them regularly, so that our news analysis, your reading and my notes will complement extremely well, so that you can fetch good marks for the general awareness paper. Thank you very much.